Woo, did you see those Drake Bulldogs getting the win in the first round of the NCAA tournament? Ben McCollum, that's the guy for Iowa basketball. We break it down today. Locked on Hawkeye.
You are Locked On Hawkeyes, your daily podcast on the Iowa Hawkeyes. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Hey, welcome in. I'm Trent Condon, and this is the Locked On Hawkeyes podcast. Thanks for making Locked On Hawkeyes your first listen every day. We're available wherever you find podcasts. You can also watch us on YouTube. While you're there, hit subscribe. Just takes a moment and helps us get in front of more Hawkeye fans. Today's episode of Locked On Hawkeyes is brought to you by Game Time. Download the Game Time app, create an account, and use code LOCKEDONCollege for $20 off your first purchase. Well, here we are. The NCAA tournament is underway. It concluded on Thursday evening, but what we saw in the evening session, I think, should be an eye-opener for a lot of Iowa Hawkeye fans. Drake gets the victory over Missouri as the 11 seed moves on into the round of 32. Well, they'll take on Texas Tech 67-57, but what many people anticipate the next Iowa basketball coach, I think, opened a lot of people's eyes. We're going to talk about that plenty here to kick things off. Tom Kakert from Hawkeye Report is going to join us, the latest on what he's hearing about Iowa's coaching search, and we're going to talk a little wrestling as we have completed the first two rounds of the NCAA wrestling tournament. Plus, we get ready for Saturday and a little hoops action as the Iowa women will get started in their run in the NCAA tournament. It is a great time of year. I absolutely love each and every part of what we have happening at this point in time. March Madness, it's special. And for anybody that knows me, has been listening to me for a while, for the last 20 plus years on the radio or here on Locked On Hawkeyes for the last few seasons, you know what college sports means to me, and certainly college basketball. It is my favorite sport. It's a sport more than any other that I can dive into. I can watch any game, any team, and I get excited about it. And I want to get to Ben McCollum and what we saw here tonight, because I know there were a lot of people that have been tepid about Ben McCollum. A piece of it is what happened with Darren DeVries. And when DeVries took the Indiana job, there was hurt. There was hurt from a fan base that was left at the altar. As I told you, this thing was incredibly close to happening. And talking to even more people throughout the course of today, I am more and more steadfast in my belief that if Indiana didn't come calling, if Indiana would have hit one of their top targets, if they had an understanding that an agreement was going to be in place, that Darren DeVries would right now be the Iowa basketball coach. People took his quote from his press conference at Indiana saying, they let him finish his season and they respected that part of it. Come on. Yes, Indiana had contact with his agent before their season began. Guess what? Iowa also had contact with his agent before the season began. That's how this works, folks. Come on. Come live in reality with us. And to take these individual quotes and the craziness that is out there and some of the West Virginia people, look, it's again, when your guy leaves, when your coach leaves for another program, it stings. It hurts. And you're seeing plenty of that there. But back to the topic at hand. And we don't care about West Virginia here. We care about the Hawkeyes. So we move forward. Darren DeVries is not going to be the Iowa coach. He's Indiana's coach. So you go to what many believe is option 2. And it's Ben McCollum. So when we got to this point, and I put out my first hot board, when was that? Late January. It was after that disaster out in LA, I think, is when I put that out there. Put it on social media, on Twitter, and also put it on Blue Sky. And was it a little bit of fun? Sure. But it was realistic names that were on there too. Guys with Iowa connections, a few that didn't, but guys that gets ultimately going to interview, going to talk to. And Ben McCollum was right up there. And at the time, I will tell you, though Ben McCollum was doing great things in the Missouri Valley, I was not enthralled. I was not enamored. Where I am in Des Moines and what I do on the Iowa Sports Radio Network and what we do locally on KXNO, Drake is a part of it. We watch Drake. We talk about Drake. It's a part of the conversation. Yep, my radio show, Miller and Condon, noon to 2, on the Iowa Sports Radio Network, statewide, everywhere in the state of Iowa. You see a program that has been built up, a program that has sustained itself now under multiple coaches and has put themselves in a position where they're if not the best, one of the best programs in the Missouri Valley. And I think there's some sustainability to it. Yet, what I saw on the outside as they got off to the great start in the non-conference, as Drake went undefeated in the non-conference, they beat Miami, beat Vanderbilt, got a win against Kansas State in the non-conference. Yet I still saw the slowdown style, a program that was winning a lot of close games, and I fell into the trap that, oh, here we go again. Todd Licklider, no, we don't want to go this direction. And I was there. And I know there's a lot of people that were there. And he watched tonight, they slowed it down. It wasn't exciting. It's not thrilling. They have low possession games. But it also doesn't mean that that's the only way that Ben McCollum plays. And you look back at his teams at Northwest Missouri State. We talked about this earlier. Earlier in the week, we talked about Ben McCollum is a guy that he is going to coach to his system. Talking to people here recently about him, the basketball acumen. This guy knows the game as well as anybody. He's not going to be out-schemed. He's not going to be out-coached. That's not something that you have to worry about. He does it on both ends of the floor. But he is going to build his team, build his individual season around the roster that he has. I love that. I played under a coach in high school that was that same way. And maybe that taints my view. But Mr. Mayor, he would adjust to what we had. And I've always liked that style of coaching. I prefer that personally over just a system coach. This is our system, regardless of what we have. This is what we're going to do. I like people that can adapt. I like coaches that will adapt to the talent that they have on hand, and that's Ben McCollum. This year, with a limited roster in terms of depth, they were going to slow things down to an incredible nature. You couple that with Garrett Sturtz, the Missouri Valley Conference Player of the Year, guy that came in, didn't have a D1 offer, and turned himself into a pretty darn good basketball player at the D1 level. I think we can all say yes to that. He's a grinder. He knows the game. He's not going to be outworked. And for the way that Iowa basketball is currently constructed, in the NIL era, where money, more than anything, is dictating how your basketball roster is going to be built, Ben McCollum is the perfect coach for Iowa to have that. Then you take it a step further. Ben McCollum, born in Iowa City, in Iowa, growing up, Storm Lake, played at Nyack under Steve Crafterson, part of the 1980 Final Four team, grew up a Hawkeye fan. McCollum's my age. And I know there's some younger people out there that freak out when I talk about the old days of Iowa basketball and what it was. But he lived that. He knows what I talk about and the importance that Iowa basketball was and restoring that. Now, that's not to say this is going to be easy, that this is just going to be hand him the job and he's going to take it. West Virginia is going to come calling. Ren Baker, who was his athletic director for a couple of years in Northwest Missouri State, there's a connection there. And by the way, with the buyout that Indiana had to pay to bring Darren DeVries in from West Virginia, they're going to have some extra money. I was going to have to open it up. But what you saw tonight is this is the guy. This is the guy that can make it happen. This is the guy that can get us back to the level that all of us as Hawkeye fans want to see. We have to buy in. This is our best case scenario. Ben McCollum is that guy. Buy in, Hawkeye fans. This is it. For the last 20 years, the program has not been invested in. For the last 20 years, we have seen a program that has continued to take steps backwards. It is time to go forward. And the guy to do that is Ben McCollum. Spend the money on NIL. Bring in the players. If you can get Garrett Sturtz to come along with them, here we go. This is the guy. And I hope for the people that were tepid, like I was, I admit it. He was not certainly at the top of my list. But the more people I talk to in the basketball community, the more conversations that I have about him, his personality, his vision, and what he can do for this Iowa basketball program. This is the guy. So now, Beth Getz, make it happen. It's time to deliver. They'll have a game coming up on Saturday against Texas Tech. They'll play in the round of 32. And with a victory, we're going to have to wait a little bit longer. That's okay. If you can get the guy, that's okay. You can wait. Even as the portal's open and you're seeing the whole roster shut down, he dealt with that a year ago. And he did it moving from the D2 ranks up to Division I at Drake. And he did it seamlessly. Not to say that it's going to be easy. It's not. Beth, go get your guy. It's Ben McCollum. And he is the number one choice. We continue Locked On Hawkeyes. We'll get into it. How close is it to becoming reality? We'll talk with Tom Kakert. Had a conversation with Tom earlier in the day from HawkeyeReport.com. His thoughts on Iowa basketball and a little bit more. Plus, we update Iowa wrestling as they have advanced on. Now we're to the quarterfinals of the NCAA wrestling tournament and get ready for the Iowa women as they get Murray State in the opening round of the Big Ten tournament. This is Locked On Hawkeyes. Ever check your bank account and wonder, where'd all my money go? Between dining out, online shopping, and entertainment, it's easy to lose track. That's where Monarch Money comes in. It's your personal CFO giving you full visibility and control over your finances. Monarch Money isn't just a budgeting app, it's a complete financial command center. You can track all your accounts, investments, and spending in one place so you can stop just managing your money and start building wealth. I started using Monarch and realized just how much money we were spending on food delivery services. Now we can budget smarter and save more. And instead of juggling multiple apps, you can use Monarch to check your finances, track spending, and even plan long-term goals. Managing money with your partner is smoother than ever. You can track shared and personal accounts, set goals, and stay on the same page without the stress. Take control of your finances with Monarch Money. Use the code. It's Locked On College at monarchmoney.com. Locked On College for 50% off your first year. Again, at monarchmoney.com, code Locked On College for half off your first year. monarchmoney.com. Today's episode is also brought to you by Game Time. Imagine watching your favorite team live, feeling the energy of the crowd, and witnessing unforgettable moments. There's nothing like experiencing a big game in person. Getting tickets, though, to those events, it shouldn't be stressful. That's where Game Time comes in, making it easier than ever to grab last-minute seats at unbeatable prices. Game Time Picks. Absolutely love this one, and it's easy to find better value for your tickets to sports, concerts, comedy, and a whole lot more with Game Time Picks. Their super deals will give you 110% of the difference if you find a lowest price with their lowest price guarantee. And the peace of mind, finding your seats exactly where you're going to be before you buy. No more worrying about surprise fees and a lowest price guarantee. You can book with total confidence with Game Time. Take the guesswork out of buying tickets with Game Time. Make sure you download the Game Time app, create an account, and make sure you use that code. It's Locked On College. That's going to get you $20 off your first purchase. That's Locked On College, LOCKEDONCOLLEGE for $20 off. Download Game Time today. Last minute tickets, lowest price, guaranteed. Trent Condon back with you once again on the Locked On Hawkeyes podcast. Thanks for being with us and making Locked On Hawkeyes your first listen every day. We continue our conversation. Again, had an opportunity earlier to talk to Tom Kakert from HawkeyeReport.com and a look at the Iowa basketball program as they talk a little basketball coaching search with the Hawkeyes.
Let's get to Tom Kakert, HawkeyeReport.com, part of On3 Media. Tom, Trent, and Ken, thanks for coming on. How are you? How much fun are you having trying to follow the ebbs and flows of the men's basketball coaching search? How are you, Tom?
It's been a fun journey. some part of me was like, boy, it would have been nice if DeVries was the guy and we got this done. And then the other part is like,
it's good for business.
Keep the circus rolling.
Yes.
Keep the circus rolling longer.
I put it this way to our listeners yesterday. Tom, if the Indiana job wasn't open, or if Chris Beard would have accepted the job, or that we would have the coach right now, that Darren DeVries, it was that close to the finish line that he would be the coach. Is that a fair way to characterize this?
I think so. I think they'd probably have to have negotiated a little bit more on the NIL side, but I think otherwise they would have probably been pretty close to being, I think they would have worked it out. That's just how I put it, is they would have probably worked it out. But the Indiana job is just different. It's just, I always use the word of caution with it, because it seems like everybody who goes there who's really good coach, well thought of, ends up just flaming out. I mean, look at Archie Miller. Everybody thought he was great, and Tom Crean flamed out. I mean, everybody seems to flame out there. It's like I was telling Trent, it's like Nebraska football.
It is. You're 1,000%
never good enough.
Yep.
Never good enough.
Right.
And they just find ways to flame out over time, because the only thing that they expect there is banners, and that's it.
Yep.
And go ahead.
No, I was just going to say, like you said, same Wayne Lincoln. I mean, the 90s are a long time ago for football, right? And I know that Indiana's had a modicum of success, but not to their standards over there. It's going to be fascinating. How do you think DeVries is going to do? I mean, kind of crystal ball this. Does Indiana have success? We don't know what the roster is going to look like, but what kind of tenure does he have over there, Tom?
I think he's probably as close to what you would call an Indiana coach that they've had in a while. Just that I think he'll fit pretty well there. He's more Midwest. He's just more about what the Indiana culture is probably all about, throughout the years. So I would guess he's going to do pretty well there. He hang banners? I don't know. I kind of doubt that, but I know he's got a lot of resources at his disposal now with, all the NIL money he's going to have to go shop for an entirely new roster. By the way, Iowa's going to need an entirely new roster. As Lodge Valley went into but that's not a surprise. I mean, you talked to Darren DeVries went through that last year.
Yep.
Ben McCollum went through it at Drake.
Without a doubt.
Yeah. Thankfully, he had a lot of players from his own team that he could bring up from the D2 level, but it will help if it's McCollum now for Iowa that he's been through that and he knows how to. He's at least had that, because I can imagine I would get anxious if I were some new coach and it's you and your assistant coaches and that's it. We don't have any players. That's literally what happened to DeVries last year at West Virginia. They had no players the day he took the job. None. It's crazy.
Yeah, Tucker come along with them and then built.
And apparently he might be headed to Indiana.
Yeah, just a small inkling that's going to happen. And oh boy, those West Virginia fans, they're handling it well.
Oh my God, it's unbelievable.
So we go to choice number 2, Ben McCollum. These were the 2 easiest names at the top of the list for everybody. Where are we in the McCollum sweepstakes? And who else is Iowa competing with? West Virginia, I think, amongst them. How difficult will it be if this is Beth Goetz's choice to be the coach whenever their season concludes? How difficult is it going to be to get him on the dotted line?
Yeah, I think he's 1A, 1B, 1C on the list right now for Iowa, and he's the guy. I mean, it was a 2-man race, and then DeVries got the Indiana job. Now it's about closing. Because I don't want to live in the world where Iowa misses on him, on McCollum.
Neither does Beth Goetz.
Then, because Beth Goetz is going to just hate life. I mean, it's just going to be really rough on her. So she knows that. She's got to close. So here's the interesting thing, and I don't know if you guys have talked about this or not, but Ren Baker, the athletic director at West Virginia, was the athletic director at Northwest Missouri State when Ben McCollum was getting a start. So that is just that's a fly in the ointment. And I know he has been approached. And they're putting on a full court press at West Virginia to try and get McCollum. McCollum talked to him last time about the job, at least, just on a superficial level before he hired DeVries. So they have a long-time friendship relationship. And Ren Baker's one of those guys that's kind of he's a hot shot kind of guy.
Is he? Okay.
He's one of those, he's a bit of a showman AD.
Yeah.
He's got personality.
And, he's got a big personality, and you're going up against that if you're Beth Getz. And the thing, the advice I would offer Beth is start to be aggressive right now with it. I mean, you can't talk to them today. They've got a game that would
right.
But I'd say if they lose tonight, tomorrow morning about 7 a.m., you're blowing up his phone saying, where can we meet? Get it and try to get that done by Friday night, and just say, here's what we got, and we want you to be the coach, because the importance of this is the portal opens up on Monday.
Yeah.
And you've got to you got to be able to start shopping. You just have to, because especially with you lost everybody on the team, and you got to at least try and, hopefully you can get, Price Stanford back, or, maybe you talk to Brock Harding or something, just Laje. I think Owen's gone for sure. I think Josh Dix is probably going to end up being gone, because he's going to get offered so much money. It's ridiculous.
Is 1.5 million accurate for him? That's out there. Have you heard that?
I've heard that. I don't know that is accurate, but I have heard that he's getting, I heard about 2 weeks ago, he was getting crazy money thrown at him, because everybody assumed Fran was going to be gone.
Yeah.
He's going to be making significant, and so is Owen. Owen's probably going to be in the seven figures as well. I mean, they're probably the top two transfer guys out there right now for any school. So, they're going to both be in high demand. But they can already be in high demand because the portal's open for them right now.
Yep. Coach left. So what would be preventing Beth Getz from coming over here tonight if they get beat, or certainly first thing tomorrow morning? Because the bus is going to get back from Wichita at some point tomorrow, and McCollum's going to be on it.
Yeah, I would. I would do that. I'd be like waiting at the door of the
Drake Diner.
The Drake Diner. Yeah, just waiting there. Get some pancakes. Let's go sit down.
And no one will notice them. Nothing going
might
on
be somebody's a little more discreet. That might work a little bit better.
Yeah, fascinating stuff. So if not those two, is there another name, Tom, that's getting any traction at all?
I heard the Brian Wardell thing.
Yeah, I heard that too.
I can't see that at all. He's just not he wouldn't be a fun fit, I don't think. I don't know who else she's talked to. I picked around Ryan Bowen yesterday, and I know he hasn't heard from Iowa yet, so I knew that one was probably dead in water. But there's going to be lots of names thrown around. I know she's called around to some different places, but there's nothing concrete on like, oh yeah, she talked to this person, and she is doing a one-person search. So we got to see if she's gonna keep this pretty close to the vest. But I think they're gonna get one. I just do. It's just that feeling that they're gonna get him.
Matt Norlander, CBS Sports, as you know, pretty well connected to college basketball. That's his wheelhouse. He had a little footnote in one of his columns, so I think it was from yesterday, that says she's talked to a number of coaches, including one outside the college basketball world. And any idea who that would be?
The only one I can think of is Brad Stevens, because I knew she was going to call him.
Yes,
but that was never going anywhere.
Right.
But you need to call him. I mean, he's not going to take
it's a performative thing.
Yes.
You make him say no. Just say, and he may end up having a name.
Yes.
Right.
That's why you call him. He's not taking the job. You call him to pick his brain.
Mm-hmm.
Yes. Yeah. You call him, say, okay, he says no. Now, hey, do you have a name?
We threw out one yesterday. I guess I did. Trent didn't poo-poo it like he normally does.
I liked it more than I thought it was, because when he starts to wind up a little bit over there, I get a little bit nervous because he's come up some zingers.
Where's this old man going? So it's an Iowa guy. He's currently a head coach. He was an assistant coach at Iowa State for 2 days. He's got a championship in the NBA. Grew up in Carroll. He understands what Iowa basketball once meant. He's Nick Nurse, and he's going to get fired in Philadelphia. He's made all the money he needs.
Interesting name,
right?
That's a really interesting name. Yeah. That is a really interesting.
So when I saw Norlander later on in the day say that she's talked to somebody outside the college basketball world, then my spider sense said, well, maybe you're onto something here. I don't think I am, but is his name out there at all?
Yeah, I have not heard that. That is a great pull because he is going to get canned.
Yep.
In the Sixers. I mean, somebody's gonna buy it for that season and how badly it's gone for Philly. So yeah, I could. But the problem is you can't hire him right
until
now.
the 12th of April. That's just it. You're right.
That's the big problem, and that's almost like disqualifying.
Yeah, in a lot of ways,
just because of the roster thing. But I know his brother has been around the Iowa program a little bit.
Really? Well, and somebody reached out to Nick Nurse yesterday because of our conversation on the air, and Nick's response was, "I'm under contract." Didn't say no.
Yeah. Didn't say no.
And I'm sure he's been schooled to say that. When everybody because then all of a sudden that text message is out there. No, I'm under contract.
Contract.
I don't know. Just crazy.
The NIL part of it, Tom, it gets a ton of run on your message boards. Brad Heinrichs, who runs the Swarm Collective, he is on there, and he had a message a day or two ago. Where do we go? We know men's basketball has fallen way behind. It's maybe fourth in the pecking order behind football and wrestling and women's basketball. Has there been is it being built up? And at a level that they need to be, they're never going to catch Indiana. They're not going to catch the Michigans of the world and probably even the Wisconsins and things like the world, or Illinois. But to get even to the middle of the pack, are they trending in that direction, or was this an eye-opener that maybe this isn't going to work again for men's basketball?
I think it was an eye-opener right now for Beth that she knows she's got to improve that. I'll tell you this. I don't, out of the 20.5 that they're going to use for the house settlement, I don't think wrestling's going to get a dime of that next year.
Okay.
Because they're trying to increase. Yeah, we're going to.
Coach just hired?
They're no. I had a nurse yelling at me at my mother's appointment here.
Okay.
So no, but yeah, we're they're going to lower that number quite a bit. So, so I think basketball is probably going to get more.
Do your thing, Tom.
That's Tom Kakert from HawkeyeReport.com as we dive deep in there. Interesting note there about wrestling and the NIL budget going forward with the house settlement case. As we look at that, Ben McCollum, obviously the guy. We wrap things up here on Locked On Hawkeyes. A look at wrestling. Some good, some bad. We are on to the quarterfinals. We'll talk about that as we continue. This is Locked On Hawkeyes. Daylight savings snuck up on us again. And if you're feeling that lost hour of sleep, 5 Hour Energy has your back. The extra sunshine means more time for fun, but sometimes you need a little boost to power through. Whether you're staying up late watching the NCAA tournament, squeezing in a round of golf after work, or just trying to keep up with your busy day, 5 Hour Energy gives you that quick, refreshing pick-me-up whenever you need it. I've been staying up late watching the hoops action, and 5 Hour Energy helps me keep up the next day. And I will tell you what, we'll be kicking that one to begin our Friday activities. Whether I'm at a game or traveling, 5 Hour Energy is easy to grab and keeps me feeling refreshed. Head to 5hourenergy.com to find over 15 different flavors to choose from, including watermelon, blue raspberry, and peach mango. You can even build your own 12-pack or 24-pack delivered right to your door. Need one now? Grab a 5 Hour Energy shot at your local grocery store or convenience store. They're everywhere. Stock up today and stay energized with 5 Hour Energy.
The NCAA tournament is here, and so is the bracket breakdown.
Locked On Podcast Network and Amazon Fire TV channels are teaming up to deliver NCAA tournament coverage like never before. Watch studio shows featuring former players and Locked On's local experts as they guide you through every upset, buzzer beater, and bracket matchup.
Stream it all for free on Amazon Fire TV channel. Search Bracket Breakdown to see it all for free.
It's your team every day.
Kind of back with you one final time on the Locked On Hawkeyes podcast. Thanks for being with us and making Locked On Hawkeyes your first listen every day. Wrap things up with a little wrestling. So 5 of the 9 wrestlers have qualified for the quarterfinals, and we're in pretty good shape on that front. Now, Iowa sits in a tie for 4th place, well behind Penn State, who is outpacing everybody. Nebraska sitting in 2nd, Oklahoma State in 3rd, and then Iowa, Minnesota, and Ohio State tied for 4th with 18 team points. I know there's a lot of frustration, and we'll talk about that when we have some more time after things conclude about Ja'Cory Teamer. Watching his match, though, his first round match, you can just see he's physically not there. That shoulder injury is just, it's too much. Joey Cruz goes 0 for 2. And then that shouldn't have come as a surprise. You look at the draw that he had, even getting McCrone on the backside of the bracket just wasn't very good. But some good stories there. Drake Allen bounced back after getting pinned in the Big Ten Finals. He looks outstanding. Patrick Kennedy punching his ticket into the quarterfinals. That was a good one. Stephen Buchanan has looked outstanding in the first couple rounds, as has Ben Keeter. So there's some good stories developing, but we'll talk about this a little bit more coming up on tomorrow's show. We'll also break things down and get ready for the Iowa women's matchup in the NCAA tournament against Murray State. But we are out of time for today. Thanks for being with us and making Locked On Hawkeyes your first listen every day. Make sure you check out Locked On College Basketball. The guys doing a great job over there, obviously, with the madness going on right now. For your second listen, it's Locked On College Basketball. Isaac and Andy are doing outstanding work. You can find Locked On College Basketball right here on YouTube or wherever you listen to podcasts. Back with you one final time for the week tomorrow. Get ready for women's hoops and talking a little wrestling, plus the latest on the coaching carousel. Thanks for being with us and making Locked On Hawkeyes your first listen every day. Until tomorrow, go Hawks.